We are back in on Three Dog Thursday, and my pleasure to bring back in on the roundtable a couple of my faves, my Fox Sports Radio alumni brother from another mother, hosting everything Raiders, the 2-0 Raiders, the Stadium Open in Vegas, JT the Brick. How you feeling, as if I have to ask?
I'll tell you, welcome to 2-0 Las Vegas. We're on Monday night on the 50th anniversary of Monday Night Football. How about those Raiders? Did they show up and they opened a new stadium and smell that? That's the smell of the 2-0 silver and black. They are back.
Thought you were going to quote Duvall there with, I love the smell of napalm in the morning, smells like victory. Jonathan Grella is here with me as well. Jonathan, former PR director with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, now runs his own PR shop out of the Washington, D.C. area. Huge sports fan, huge Jets fan, hurting for the Jets, liking the Brady Bucs after last week. Yeah. Brother Grella, good to see you.
Good to see you too.
Okay, so I noticed there's a lot of colorful stuff in and around you, but no Jets stuff. Have we already just ditched?
No.
Oh, there. I was going to say, have we just ditched the season after 2 games?
Well, the team may have, but I have not. I still cling to Broadway Joe, who was in his prime before I was born.
Yeah, that's about what you have to hang on to.
That's all I have.
All right, so let's begin with happy times here, and I'm going to share the screen through the technology here and let you see what JT was putting out there late night on Monday night. There it is, Allegiant Stadium. There were no fans, but a victorious Monday night debut in Las Vegas for the Raiders. JT, first of all, how surreal was all of this? The NFL comes to Vegas. There's no fans there. You were there. What was it like?
It was the most incredible experience, bizarre. I was trying to find the word eerie, and I just couldn't come up with the word, so I'm using bizarre to describe what it was like because, you know, the Raiders would have opened up with 65,000. The Strip would have been showcased. It would have been one of the greatest nights in the history of Vegas, and you know from boxing and all the great events in the history of this town dating back to the Rat Pack and great events, this thing was poised to be incredible. We lost the NFL draft, which would have had 1 million people on the Strip. We lost this opportunity. So Mark Davis didn't want anybody in the building. If you weren't working, you were not in the building. You weren't a looky-loo. You weren't going from the 4th deck to the 2nd. There were no selfies. He wanted the place empty because there's been a lot of confusion around the NFL. Certain owners are letting their friends in the suite, couple of people behind the goalpost swigging a beer. That wasn't the case. If all fans couldn't go or one fan couldn't go, Mark Davis didn't go. His mom lit the torch in memory of Al Davis, which was special. You could hear the pads hit in the 400 deck of the brand new press box, and everybody was quiet, DJ, because they thought they could be heard in the press box. It was eerie, it was wild, and I hope we get rid of this pandemic because I don't want to do football like this again next year.
Yeah, I can testify working the Bucs game, which we'll get to in a minute with the Panthers, empty stadium, Raymond James Stadium, that, you know, make no mistake about it, that it's different because you hear the pads, you hear everything on the sideline, you hear everything on the other sideline. It is surreal. That's the best way to describe this. Go ahead, JT.
Yeah, and what confused me going in is I know that there's crowd noise pumped into the TV broadcast. I thought there was going to be more crowd noise in the stadium, and I didn't get that at all. I don't know
Correct.
if that's the case, but I thought you were going to hear like an NBA game. This is for television, that pumped-in crowd noise. I thought it was part of trying to get the other team off kilter. No, it was silent as far as I was concerned. And, you know, it didn't give either team an advantage there. But, you know, for the Raiders opening up a new stadium and Drew Brees used to a dome crowd and how loud it could be for an opponent, it was very surreal. And it was an event. It took away from the event, even though there was so much going on.
Jonathan Grella on the other side of the country, and JT's a New York guy first and foremost. Man, oh man, the Jets. We could go on for a while. It's only 2 games, but as we're talking about right now, they appear to be in dire straits. I'll be kind here. I'll let you tee off. You have the floor after a disastrous Sunday at the Meadowlands where they lost badly to the 49ers. What about it?
Mm-hmm. Having been on both sides of this equation as a fan and as somebody working for a team, I try to reserve judgment and be a little bit more measured when it comes to evaluating a head coach. The good news is this. The Jets haven't lost to anybody they weren't supposed to lose to. And the other good news is this. Adam Gase couldn't ruin Ryan Tannehill forever, so Sam Darnold can take solace in that. The less good news is I start to get worried when you have decisive losses, especially to a team that was as banged up as the Niners were, and then beyond the pundits, when you start looking between the lines and reading between the lines at what players in the locker room are saying and what people in the know are saying, it surely appears like Adam Gase's grip on the locker room is tenuous at best. So, yeah, it would be hard for them to underperform their talent because they don't have very much, and they're pretty hurt too. But man, oh man, I would be surprised if Adam Gase makes it to January.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's a struggle. We have the you had this up on your social media. We have the spoof, the meme of Gase as Spider-Man versus Richie Kotite as Spider-Man. It's bringing back memories of
who wore it better.
Yeah, I think it's a good question. But let me show you something else here on the screen. The litany of Jet coaches. I have this up on the screen. And again, for the audience that's only hearing us on the podcast, Apple Podcast, Spotify, Google Podcast, wherever you're hearing us, you can see what we're talking about on the YouTube page, on the video roundtable. Look at that laundry list of Jet coaches, including a Lou Holtz 3-10 year that he didn't even finish.
Yeah.
He quit before the last game. But every one of these guys, Walt Michaels losing record, Joe Walton losing record, Bruce Coslett, Pete Carroll 1 year, with the exception of Parcells there in the middle, and JT knows this too. Al Groh 1 year winning.
Al Groh quit while he was ahead.
Herman Edwards losing record. Eric Mangini losing record. Rex Ryan for the 2 AFC title games losing record. Todd Bowles losing record. I know I'm not telling you anything that you don't know with the Jets, but this has become almost customary, Jonathan Grella.
I can't stand the same old Jets. You know, it's so easy to pile on in the group think about how, they're this hapless franchise. But to be honest, I, had to think twice about buying gear for my son. Do I want to put him through this? Maybe this year I won't mind when he prefers to watch the Bucs games to the Jets games, as we are not even in rebuild mode. We are pre-rebuild mode.
Yeah, it's bad. JT, go ahead.
Yeah, this is a big topic on my Mad Dog show at night on Sirius XM. The Giants and the Jets are a combined 0-4. And I've already taken calls from Jet fans talking about tanking for Trevor. This is a really unique situation. You got a GM who is not tied to the quarterback, right? And a GM that didn't draft the quarterback. You got a head coach that had success with Peyton Manning when he was with Denver, dating back to Nick Saban and the confidence there. You have a rabid fan base that is sick and tired of losing. And then Jamal Adams being traded, where you saw him play against Cam Newton, and you see the perfect fit that he is now with Seattle. So you have a storm that's circling the Jets now, and it's very combative because the fans want change. Ownership is a bit at odds right now. You have a GM that's going to get draft equity because of the Jamal Adams trade. And what direction, Jonathan, should he go in? Because I'm telling you, I watched this Sam Darnold thing closely. I watched him play in high school, watched him play at USC. He's got ass-kissing media out in L.A. protecting him, saying that he's going to be someone else when other quarterbacks are playing much worse and not getting, or around that level and not getting the criticism. I'll ask you, is Darnold the lock to be the quarterback of the Jets by this time next year?
Absolutely. In Sam we trust. I'm all in. I'm all in. And God forbid we go 1-15 and have the opportunity to take Trevor. I know it's a ridiculous thing to say, but trade down. The Jets need a lot. I don't think Sam's the problem here. I took a lot of comfort in what Dan Orlovsky had to say about Darnold. And I agree with him wholeheartedly that a quarterback coming into a totally talentless roster never turns a team around by himself. Young quarterbacks who do turn teams around already come in with some semblance of a cast. Sam can't do it all by himself, but he's going to be the guy. I say top 20 quarterback year this year, and then I think top 10 next year.
This is starting to look a little like Arizona. I'm just saying, Josh Rosen taking 1 year, and then all of a sudden Kyler Murray, you look at him, you say, we can't afford to miss out on him. And he's not going to be good. Kyler Murray is going to be a super elite.
But honestly, JT, if you put Trevor Lawrence on a bad team, to Jonathan's point, is he going to look any better than Sam Darnold?
No.
What do you say, JT?
Yes. Here's why. We got to come to grips that Sam Darnold is regressing. We have to come to grips with the fact that that's what happens in this league. You judge talent. Look at what's happening to Carson Wentz in Philadelphia. Doug Peterson this week had to answer a question and think about, is Carson Wentz regressing? And this is what happened with Jared Goff when he came into the league with Jeff Fisher in the beginning. Hey, is he going to play it out? So if we're all into this, Sam Darnold is going to be a franchise quarterback and someday become something I don't see. Let's book this podcast and own it, because there's pressure on him now. This is New York. This is not, we're not talking about Jacksonville, and no disrespect to Nashville and other markets. If Sam Darnold continues to regress, that boiler oven is going to eat him up and spit that California kid out.
All right, interesting stuff. Go ahead.
I think that he'd be doing quite well with any number of these other teams, and we would be singing a totally different tune. I am all in on Sam, and I don't know who could be doing much better with the cast of characters he has. He didn't have Le'Veon Bell, and not that Le'Veon's at the top of his game. He didn't have even Jamison Crowder. He didn't have Perriman for a lot of the game on Sunday, and we're not even talking about franchise guys. We're talking, XFL level talent here.
All right, beat up. A lot of teams beat up. 49ers came out of that game in victory beat up, and they're staying in the same stadium playing the Giants.
NFC West.
Yes, 49ers are a mash unit at this point.
We swept the leg.
Okay, Cobra Kai. That's the voice of Jonathan Grella. Again, if you're only hearing us on the Three Dog Thursday podcast, find us on YouTube on the video. JT the Brick is here. You hear him in Vegas. I'm going to let him promote how you hear him on the Raider station that's in Vegas, as well as Mad Dog Sports Radio at night on Sirius XM with the Brick Show. Love his insight. Let's talk a little bit real quick about the Bucs, outside perspective, because again, I can be considered in the bag for the Buccaneers for the Bucs. Jonathan also used to work for the Buccaneers now in the DC area. But let's talk a little bit. They looked better last Sunday, and we're taking a look at TB12 here, throwing the touchdown pass. I got knocked on by the NFL for showing an NFL highlight last week on the YouTube show. At least somebody was watching from YouTube and the NFL. So I got still photos here. We don't have moving pictures. We just have pictures. Here's Brady throwing. Here's Mike Evans catching for the people that are seeing us. And here's Brady and Mike Evans celebrating. So it was better last week. JT, to you first. It's a work in progress for the Bucs. They play an easier opponent again with Denver, who's hurt this week. I keep saying get back to me in mid-October. How do they look overall in mid-October? Do you buy that? You agree with that?
Yeah, I agree with it. It was the biggest overreaction of the NFL so far. The biggest two storylines this year have been Week 2 NFL injuries, and Week 1 the overreaction to the Buccaneers. And when Brady threw that pick six, it gave all of us in our industry something to talk about would he have the arm strength? Can he make that throw? I just saw that with Drew Brees this past Monday night. He's the talk of the NFL midweek, because everybody's wondering if he's got the arm strength to get it done. Buccaneers are going to be fine. Brady's a winner. That offense is loaded. It's an unbelievable pursuit defense that tackles great in space. And as I reported a while back, I think one of the big stories with Godwin and now him coming back and Gronkowski, I know is not in football shape. It's tough to get in shape in Tampa in that humidity and heat. It's going to take Gronkowski, I believe, 6 to 8 weeks to put muscle and weight back on his body so he can help on the offensive line, let alone have the cardio to run those Tampa routes in that weather. So I think they're fine. I have them winning the division over New Orleans. I was right on that one, and I think the Buccaneers will probably be a 12-win team. but most likely not a 13, 14, 15 win team. I think they're going to be in that 11 to 12 win record because of the schedule, who they're playing, and the fact that they're going to sweep Carolina this year, and they're going to beat a lot of inferior teams they play out west.
Interesting. Jonathan, a quick thought here. You used to obviously be behind the scenes working with the Bucs. It was bizarre again, no fans there. The town is on. Yeah, well, that's true. Favre was allowed to be there again. He was doing an NFL video thing for an NFL show that's on with Rich Eisen on the Epix network. So he was allowed to be there. It was bizarre, though, last weekend, and yet the town is watching. The ratings were massive for the home game on Sunday. Just speak to it a little more, Jonathan. Give me a little more.
Bucs are a 9 or 10 win team, will make the playoffs. Still a pretty tough division. And when I look at playoff teams and evaluate them, I look for easy wins along the way inside division, especially. They've got 2 with Carolina, as JT mentioned. So that's not a bad start. Atlanta's tough. Their offense is really good. Obviously, have had some gagging issues, and then the Saints are the Saints. So the Bucs will be in the dance. Brady will be just fine. They are too loaded, and they have too good a coaching to not make that dance. Todd Bowles, Bruce Arians, they're in very, very good shape right now, and a stretch of very winnable games coming up.
All right, I'm going to get an underdog prediction from Jonathan and also from JT in just a second. I'm going to do a quick ad here for our friends at Smack Apparel. You may be able to see this as I tilt down. I've got the Tampa Bay Lightning Bring Stanley Back shirt on. That's a limited edition one. I don't think that one's available right now on smackapparel.com, but you can go check into it right now. Go check out all the different stuff that they have at Smack Apparel. We've got a special promo code that's ongoing. Use the promo code 2020BOGO. You can get the I Want to Party Like It's 2004 shirt, the last time that the Lightning won the Cup. Hey, even for JT, they've got the Raiders. Welcome to Las Vegas, the Black Hole, when there is fans there at smackapparel.com. Use the promo code that's on the screen there, which is 2020BOGO, there for your opportunity to go get the merchandise at Smack Apparel. Love all of their stuff. Get in your opponent's face, whether you're a fan of the Raiders or the Jets, hate on your opponents, etc. with Smack Apparel. And again, the purchases have to be made through smackapparel.com. Wherever else you see the shirts, the promo code isn't going to work. So go to smackapparel.com for that. Guys, thanks for indulging me there for the promo. So on the podcast, we talk underdogs. And JT, I'm going to go right back to you because the Raiders come all the way cross-country again. They came cross-country and beat Carolina in Charlotte, came back to Las Vegas and won Monday night. Now in a short week, come all the way back across the country again. And dare I see that the Raiders are getting 6.5 points there on the screen in New England against the Patriots, a tantalizing underdog there. It will be a challenge, though, to go play Belichick, Cam Newton, and the Patriots having to go all the way back to the East again, right?
Yeah, and the Raiders already had a good road trip to Carolina with the protocol and came back. And remember, a lot of Vegas fans left. They went back to California to go to work for a few days. They'll be back in Vegas on Saturday pounding that number down. A lot of sharp Vegas money will come in. I really like the Raiders in that spot, at least, because I think that their roster can find a way to slow down Julian Edelman. My upset pick is going to be the Vikings. And the reason why I picked the Vikings to win the NFC, to get by the Bucs, to get by the Seahawks, to get by the Packers. I was really in on the Vikings this year, especially when they got Yannick Ngakoue. I thought with the depth that they would have on that defensive line, even though they're not 100% yet, that the Vikings now would be 1-1. I didn't expect them to beat the Packers. That was a pick'em game. But this is a real rough one now. The schedule is a monster for the Vikings out of the gate. Kirk Cousins was god-awful in that last game. A guy who's already cashed $84 million. Think of this. The first ever player. And as we talk about, rest in peace to Gale Sayers, who passed away,
right,
who never made dollars compared to pennies, compared to Kirk Cousins being the only player in the history of football to make a guaranteed contract of $84 million. And he goes out there and stinks up the joint. So this is one of his last stands. Not that they're going to bench him, but the heat is in the kitchen for Cousins. He's got to dig out of this hole and start stacking wins, and he has to do it against a very good Titans team. I'll go in with them. I don't have a lot of confidence in
I went with them last week, and they just no-showed at Indianapolis. Jonathan Grella, I got the sense you were nodding along. Minnesota might be a play here for you, too, as an underdog?
I mean, home team with talent getting 3 points, I feel like it's a no-brainer. They're too talented to be 0-3.
And you look at last week, whatever it's worth, Tennessee struggled against Gardner Minshew on offense. Minshew threw it on him, and that's Cousins' strength. They've got Dalvin Cook, too. We'll see on that one. Interesting that Gruden and Belichick have only met twice because, again, Gruden was in the broadcast booth for a decade. JT knows where I'm going. The snow game, the tuck rule game with Charles Woodson and Tom Brady in the playoffs in Foxborough. And then I was there on the sideline in 2005 for a 28-0 shellacking with Chris Sims, thank you, at quarterback. You see him all the time with Mike Florio on Pro Football Talk. Sims was the quarterback for a 28-0 beatdown by Belichick and the Patriots. That's the only 2 times Gruden has gone against Belichick. We'll see if the third time's a charm, JT, for Sunday.
This is a big one for John Gruden because he outcoached Sean Payton completely. I mean, it was a joke. If you look at the second, third, fourth quarter, the adjustments the Raiders made when they were down 10-0 at home, they did a great job getting back into that game. No Michael Thomas had something to do with it. The Raiders are now banged up on their offensive line. 2 of their former Pro Bowlers, Trent Brown and Richie Incognito, are not 100%, which could be a problem there. But look, when the schedule came out initially, we didn't know if Brady was making the decision on the Bucs. If you said the Raiders are going to have to play in New England as Hightower opts out, Chung opts out, and there's no Tom Brady, come on. I mean, you get it. Cam Newton's thrown 1 touchdown this year. It was to a fullback. Okay, to a fullback. So the Raiders have to come in there, put a spy on Cam, try to slow him down. And guys, don't sleep on Derek Carr. He was outstanding on Monday Night Football. He's off to another good start. No MVP talk yet, but if he wins this game and the Raiders go to 3-0, there'll be some serious momentum out in Raiderland.
Love it. Again,
Darnold, but I agree.
Yeah, yes. Sam Darnold has gotten way too much attention here on this.
No such thing.
Yes. Listen, JT and Jonathan, you guys did a great job. Again, follow JT the Brick. And again, Mad Dog Sports Radio 5 nights a week, correct? Give me the rundown of when we hear you on Mad Dog times and nights, JT, so that I get it straight.
Yeah, I am on 11 o'clock Eastern, 8 p.m. out here Pacific time for 4 hours a night. A change coming, which will be very beneficial to me, and I'll break that news with you down the road. I'm also on Raider Nation Radio every day, Monday to Friday. It's on the Raiders app. You can download it. Got a mass following because the Raiders put it on their team app, and we have a real partner now, and I do that show every day, noon to 2, with the likes of Tom Flores and Howie Long and the players and all that. Really excited about that show, which is clearly 3 to 5 Eastern time. So any Raider fans out there in the other area of the Pirates in Tampa and want to catch a Raiders radio show, I'm on Raider Nation Radio every day, and you can find that on the Raiders team app.
How about that? So only Raiders talk on that show daily, and wherever they're seeing us all over the country, everywhere, they can find that app. They can find it on the station, et cetera, right?
Yeah, right. And there's a little bit more than just Raiders. There's boxing. We're boxing friends over the years, and I got a NASCAR driver on today. So we'll mix up the sports talk. But when the Raiders are 2-0, you got to take advantage of the format. Right?
Pump it. And Jonathan Grella, promote away. They can follow you at Jonathan Grella, but you've also got a new PR endeavor as well. Promote away as well as your own podcast.
Yeah, let me begin. ProteanPublicAffairs.com, as well as the Politics of Sport of Politics podcast. Available in your friendly neighborhood podcast stores where we talk about sports, politics, and the increasing intersection of the two. Certainly timely. We've been doing this show for a year now, interviewing a lot of folks that we know in Washington, D.C. There you go.
There's Grella.
And beyond. So I think you'll find that very interesting. So Politics of Sport of Politics podcast. Appreciate the opportunity, TJ. A pleasure as always.
Yes, find him on Protein Public Affairs right there. You're seeing it online. And Politics of Sports, Sport of Politics is a fascinating podcast that I've even been on. You got politicians talking sports, got sports figures talking politics. It's a great niche there with that from Jonathan and from JT. Guys, you did great. Thank you for hanging out with me here today. JT, good luck on the Raiders being 3-0. Grella, I can't figure out, do you want the Jets to win, or at this point are we in the tank and you want them to lose? I can't figure out. Which am I wishing you?
We root for them to win, but if you must lose decisively.
Lose with no doubt that Gase is getting fired. I get it on that. Boys, thank you. The podcast rolls on. More with Brian Edwards coming up, talking more NFL Underdog. Stay with us.